Hello and welcome to the Arsenal Way. Back again with you guys for another episode of our Pressbox series. I'm joined by Kaya Kaynak. How you doing, mate? You good? You well?
I'm good, thank you. It's just started raining here, so the weather's not as nice as it has been for the past couple of days, but our spirits are all still high, despite that, because Arsenal are winning non-stop, and that's very fun.
Yeah, to be honest, rain for me is good weather at the moment. You know, I appreciate the rain. I'm welcoming of it. So yeah, no, I'm buzzing to see it. A little bit damp outside for once, if that, because it just burns off as soon as it rains anyway. So yeah, it's merciful is what it is. Of course, first time I've had a chat since Arsenal's second win of the season. Only two sides have kept perfect records so far after just 2 games, Arsenal and Manchester City. So when are we winning the title,
Kyle? Pre-World Cup is the aim, but you know that's the voices we're getting from the club. No, great start. Not played anyone great yet, so we'll see how sort of this title charge lasts when Arsenal start playing big 6 teams. But we've been saying this for ages. The start to the fixture list has been very kind to Arsenal, and they've been given a very generous beginning to the season. And the rest of August is, on paper at least, winnable games all the way through for Arsenal. So, you know, fingers crossed that 100% run can continue.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look, we're not going to get too excited or too carried away with things. It's very, very early, but it's looking good. But of course, Arsenal got a very interesting fixture away at Bournemouth, a side that have got a win at home against Aston Villa, an impressive one at that, and of course then a battering at the Etihad. But there aren't too many sides that don't go there and get battered these days. So it's all the context that go with it. How are you feeling ahead of this one?
Yeah, good. You've got to feel confident going into a team like Bournemouth. If you can't beat a team like Bournemouth, then you know the whole top 4 thing becomes a little bit trickier to navigate. It's the kind of game where Arsenal really have to be picking up 3 points. And if you look at the way Arsenal are playing, if you look at the way Bournemouth defend, again, you'd like to think that Arsenal would fancy their chances. It does all point towards an Arsenal win, which, you know, as Arsenal supporters, you struggle to get that seems to sort of get your senses going, as in you sort of wonder whether this is too good to be true. But it's looking pretty good for Arsenal going into this weekend. Obviously, they'll be hopeful of having a few players back from injury, but we'll see what happens on that front.
They will indeed. Yeah, there's hope that there's a few players going to be back. One of the players that did get a few minutes last weekend, of course, was Emile Smith Rowe after recovering from an injury. But there's potential rumours he might be involved in tonight's under-21's game. You're going to be at the game. What have you kind of heard around this?
Yeah, well, what you guys have seen on social media, I'm sure, is that, you know, Arsenal used the a couple of weeks ago, the game against Manchester United to build up the fitness of Takehiro Tomiyasu. They gave him 45 minutes because he barely played in pre-season. There's talk that it could be the same for Emile Smith Rowe, and even a slight possibility. Nothing confirmed yet at all. This is just speculation, given that he wasn't in training, that Fabio Vieira could also be involved. So we'll see. I think it would be good to see them. It'd be interesting to see sort of what positions they're used in, how they come through, how they look fitness-wise, and yeah, really good for them just to get some minutes into their legs, because they've had a very frustrating beginning to the season, and Arsenal need that squad depth.
Yeah, they really do. They're 2 players that can offer Arsenal a lot in attacking midfield. It was telling, I think, that Smith Rowe came on for Saka against Leicester rather than Pepe, you know, coming off the bench. And you know, there are these rumours flying about now about Nice and a potential loan move. Does it surprise you that Pepe is still here, or do you think that with how things are with his wage and the uncertainty around his future, that it was always going to kind of be one that trundled on to the end of the window?
Yeah, exactly that. I'm not surprised at all. I thought with Nicolas Pepe, I looked at the deal and I thought, you know what, this guy's on massive wages, as you say. He's got 2 years left in his contract. Arsenal want to sell. No team can afford him. So this is one where you can expect sort of towards the end of the window teams to come in and just offer Arsenal a loan deal maybe, or a minimised transfer fee, and see whether Arsenal will take it. Arsenal obviously are in a position where if they lose Pepe, they'll probably want to get someone in just in terms of depth, but they seem to be all right now. So it's a tricky one. I think that deal will rumble on. We've got exactly 2 weeks left of the window pretty much at the minute. So expect that one to rumble on a bit. I wouldn't be surprised if that one does go up until deadline day, just because of the nature of it.
Yeah, agreed. I think that it's one where players, or rather clubs, will see opportunities dwindle towards the end of the window, and therefore other avenues open up. And Pepe is probably potentially one of those. If a club are in for a winger and don't get him, they see Pepe as a potential asset they can sign on loan. The club seem open to that possibility because, regarding a permanent purchase, there's been little to no interest in that side of things. So if he goes on loan, it could be that obviously he plays well and that garners interest. Edu, I think, has spoken in the past about loaning players out with the kind of forward-thinking nature of then getting them a permanent deal like we saw with Joe Willock when we did that with Newcastle, and that obviously earned him a permanent move and we got a very good fee out of that. So I imagine there's potential to see that repeated again. Of course, in terms of transfers there still seems to be these kind of rumours flying about on different players, but there's nothing concrete. Do you kind of expect this to change in the final week of the window? We may have. Are you still there, Kaya? I think you are there, Kaya.
Yeah.
I can't see you. Your face is completely stuck at this point, but I can hear you.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. I'm moving my face around. It's
there you go. There you're back now. Yeah.
Okay, good. Sorry about that, guys. I'm having Wi-Fi problems. The rain has not been kind to my Wi-Fi either. But yeah, the transfer incoming. So obviously the big links at the minute: Callum Hudson-Odoi, Yeremy Pino, and others. I'd be surprised right now if in the sort of next few days there's anything too concrete. Maybe towards the end of the window. It, again, depends on the outgoings. The deal I highlight when I talk about these kind of things is Takehiro Tomiyasu last year, where no one was really sure whether anything was going to happen in the right-back department. Arsenal went into the deadline day thinking, great, if we can get it done, awesome, we'll get a right-back. And suddenly Hector Bellerin's move to Real Betis happened, and then suddenly Takehiro Tomiyasu was able to come in. So who knows, if a winger leaves, if a midfielder leaves, I can't really see a midfielder leaving personally, but if a winger leaves, which seems more likely, then maybe Arsenal will go into the market and get a target they've been working on for a long time. We've seen Arsenal they've gone into this window with a plan. The plan's not complete yet. That's the messages we get from the club. They are still keen on bringing in more players and they're keen on getting a few more out as well. So don't be surprised if more deals do happen before the end of the window. But again, I think they may be right towards the end of the window rather than in the next couple of days or so.
Yeah, indeed. VW just asking a quick question. Are we going to be doing a deadline day broadcast? I can pretty much assure you that there probably will be streams across deadline day. We're still waiting for plans to be finalised for deadline day, but it's probably safe to say we'll be doing something at some point on deadline day for sure. Hopefully it will be hopefully it'll be a busy one. I kind of hope that Arsenal get their business done before deadline day, of course. But do you think that the fact that we've had kind of these 5 fixtures in August that all on paper are pretty winnable has made the club kind of more relaxed about how quickly they get their business done?
That's a good question. I'd say it's more a case of the fact they've got the rest of their business done early. So everything that was essential, i.e., centre forward, left back, backup goalkeeper, all those things, they got those done very early in the window. So at this point, they're seeing what's available. They're not needing to go out, but if something presents itself, then fantastic. It's equivalent to sort of being happy to stay in on a Friday night, but if one of your mates texts you and say, there's a really good night out going on, you're happy to go on that night out, but you're also happy to stay in. It's that kind of vibe for Arsenal right now. So we'll see what happens in the transfer window for them. But I think they're in a pretty good position, and Edu deserves a lot of credit for that because they started work on the Gabriel Jesus deal in November 2021. They got the Matt Turner deal done very early. Zinchenko, from what we hear, despite all those Martinez links, was apparently done for a while before it got confirmed. Just a case of finding the right time to get it done. So yeah, plenty of things that they've done way in advance, and they had their targets going in sort of 1, 2, 3, and they've gone out and largely got those number 1 targets, which is good. And I think Arsenal deserve a lot of credit for how they've handled this window, and it could even get better.
Yeah, it could. And we've still got some interesting players to be linked with, I'm sure, that have not yet cropped up. And Arsenal continues to do things as quietly and secretively as possible. So who knows what's going on behind the scenes. Harvey says, is there any news about Ainsley Maitland-Niles? Of course, he's been linked with a move away persistently. We know that he's a player that the club are very, very open to allowing to leave. But there's been no real tangible offers that we've heard about so far. What's your view on it?
Yeah, earlier in the window, Nottingham Forest were interested, but since then, Nottingham Forest have gone out and signed, I think, every other player in world football except for Ainsley Maitland-Niles. So that's made that deal a little bit more difficult. And I think they balked at his wages. I think that does make any move a little bit difficult. If you think about the type of club Maitland-Niles is going to go to now, it's not going to be one of the big six who can afford his wages. It's going to be sort of mid-table, lower kind of teams. If he even does stay in England, there have been some reports of a team in Germany being interested. So who knows on that front? I know that Arsenal are happy to accept offers for him to leave, and he's got 1 year left in his deal. So those are more likely to be permanent offers if possible. And it's a shame for Ainsley because I think he can offer a lot to this Arsenal squad. But yeah, it does appear to be over for him. And yeah, I think Arsenal are happy to let him go. Mikel Arteta has not included him in any of his matchday squads so far, despite the fact that Arsenal have had injuries. And I think that's pretty telling.
What did you make of Real Betis basically saying their business is done, that they're not doing any more business? Is that a clever tactic, do you think, the whole Bellerin, who's going to blink first scenario?
I wouldn't believe anything you hear in the transfer window that comes out of directors
yeah.
when it comes to transfers. I mean, the amount of times we've heard from Mikel Arteta that Arsenal aren't interested in a player or Arsenal aren't active or whatever, and then they go out and sign a player the next day. Like, it's all part of the game. It's all part of negotiation tactics. Betis will want to make it seem as much as possible like they have no money to spend on Hector Bellerin, because then when they more likely than not come in with an offer for him very late in the window for a contract termination, they'll be more likely to get that done. So it's in their interest to say, look, we're done. We can't spend any more money. We're really poor. We can't do anything. And then obviously on the final day of the window, Arsenal go, fine, we want to get rid of Bellerin anyway. Here you go. So I think that's their tactic there. That's their game. And yeah.
Kebby says, Tielemans, Tonali or Caicedo? Who are you going for out of the three?
Cool. I think Arsenal needs a 6. So I guess that kind of leans in towards it being Tonali. But I'm not really sure about his mobility at the base of midfield. I have to say I haven't seen that much of Tonali. I know he's great on Football Manager, but I've not seen that much of him in real life. Caicedo, I've liked every time I've seen him. Very box to box, very he's economical in possession, and Tielemans, obviously, we all know, very good on the ball, a little bit questionable defensively. For me, I'd probably say Tonali out of the 3 just because of what I think the Arsenal squad needs. But you know, I'm sure there are lots of people will be wanting Tielemans, and I think that's also fine.
Yeah, look, I think any of them would be good additions. I think that Tonali's positioning as a base of a midfield makes more sense, as you say. I would say that from a fair few people I know that watch Serie A, they feel as though because of the Football Manager thing, ironically, and the FIFA thing, he has grown a bit of a reputation for being a lot better than he is in reality. So I have my reservations about Tonali as a potential target for Arsenal. Marcus says, have either of you solved the mystery of the mystery signing? Specifically, I think the winger, the mystery winger is often a phrase that gets used a lot. So have you solved this mystery yet, Kaya?
No, I've not solved the mystery. I'm very sorry. I'm going to try to solve it as soon as I can. But we'll see. I mean, even if it is a mystery, even if Arsenal have got a mystery going on. But yeah, we know they'd like to add more signings, as they've said countless times now. But I think it's still unsure as to who those players are going to be. And I think that depends on movements in the rest of the squad. I'm sorry, Marcus, I can't solve the mystery right now. But as soon as I hear something, don't worry, I will let you guys all know.
We have breaking news on the channel. My Arsenal third kit has been dispatched. It's gone. It's on its way. It was a running joke on the stream for a few days now, but it's gone. Finally, it will be arriving very soon, and it will be adorned, I'm sure, on one of the upcoming streams, perhaps even for match day. Who knows? Fingers crossed it might arrive in time. We'll have to wait and see. But that's, to be fair, some people have been saying that, of course, since I ordered the third kit, we have won the last 2 games. So now that it arrives, I'm just hoping that it's not a bad omen for
bad open. You can do an unboxing video.
Yes, that would be a great one. Oh, what could it be? Oh, I just love the colour that you've never seen before. Of course, everyone's got one now. Let's go to Wayan, who says, what about Pedro Neto as a potential signing? Or do you like Neto? Is he someone you'd be interested?
Love him. Great player. Was fantastic in the Premier League, young player of the season nominee in the season before last when he wasn't out with I think it was broken kneecap was his injury. So, very unlucky, but
ouch.
Very good player. He's still quite young. He's only like 22, I think, and has a lot of experience for someone so young. So, would be a fantastic addition. I think he's a good goal threat as well. But unfortunately, he did just recently sign a contract extension with Wolves. So if Arsenal are going to get him, he'll cost quite a lot of money, and that may be a stumbling block on that deal.
Yeah, his contract runs out in 2027 after signing one this year, so it is going to cost. I think that was definitely done to protect their kind of interest in him.
Yeah,
I remember when they were asking for something like 80 million quid for Adama Traore at one point, and then obviously he went off on loan to Barca and they didn't even buy him on the option. So things can change. I think potentially a fee around 50 million could be tempting for Wolves, but he's a great player. Clive from the Arsenal Vision podcast sent me a YouTube compilation of his game the other day. I can't remember who they were playing against Wolves. Was it Leeds? I think it might have been. And he was he was just unreal. I've never seen as good a performance without a goal or assist as that. It was very special. So, yeah, indeed, it's very interesting to see what happens with him. VDub says, I'm totally lost who may come in. So many rumours. Paqueta is even seeing his name pop up again. Yes, you're getting that big cycle of rumours going back and forth. That's what happens. But Noureddin says, are you concerned, Kaya, about Smith Rowe's injury record? Should we be looking at a potential left winger?
Yeah, a little bit about his injury record. I think Arsenal, he's someone who has suffered with injuries in the past. He's obviously had that one injury with his hip that gets him out for a full year. And I think Mikel Arteta was very wary of the fact that sort of introducing him into the team sort of more consistently last year was going to cause a lot of problems in the sense that eventually his body would have to deal with that. And this season, there's going to be even more games. So for Emile Smith Rowe, who is going to be an important player for Arsenal, if he can stay fit, that's something he has to deal with. And there's been a lot of talk about what he does off the pitch in terms of his diet, in terms of his nutrition, and those kind of things. Also, I think adaptability, just some people, their step up from under-21s to first team level, they find it a little bit difficult at first, but they do get there eventually. So for the short term, yes, I'm a little bit concerned about Smith Rowe's injury records. And I think the fact that Arsenal seems to be having consistent setbacks is a worry, but now Arsenal have got themselves into a position where their current front three are playing so well that they don't really need to rush him back. I think they should allow him to just take his time, and that might be what tonight's 2021's game is about if he is involved. And I wouldn't say Arsenal should be looking at left winger just yet. I mean, if the mystery winger, all I know about it is that they do want somebody who can play across the front line. So if they do get a winger, then it will be someone who can play left, can play right, and ideally can play centre forward as well. So that's something to bear in mind. I wouldn't say it's desperate that Arsenal need a winger right now, but something to bear in mind maybe.
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, the wide player that would be linked to the amount of them that can play across the front three anyway, that I think that gives you that kind of versatility. So, yeah. Viraj says, what do you think about Charlie Patino's injury? And Alex also says, did you see how good Patino looked before going off injured? I mean, he did look a cut above the rest, but I've seen some really horrific images of this injury. I have been saying to people that, these often with these types of injuries where you see the ankle go over, they aren't ending up as bad as they look because the boot can turn around the foot. So the foot isn't actually in the same angle as the boot is. So it's important to remember that. But it didn't look good. And this could be a really damaging kind of hit to his development at such an early age.
Could be, but I mean, he played on for a while after having the injury, so he wasn't taken off for a while. So that would suggest that hopefully it's not as severe as first thought. Michael Appleton after the game wasn't too catastrophic about it in his assessment. Just said there was a lot of swelling and it would need a bit of a scan. So, fingers crossed for him. It goes well, and there's positive news because he started really well in Blackpool, and I think a lot of fans there have taken to him very quickly. There's a lot of excitement, and this is championship level. It's the second best level in England. He's only 18 years old. There's not many players at 18 years of age who are tearing up the championship, and Charlie Patino was starting to do that. So, fingers crossed for him. This is something he's able to cope with. But, one of the reasons he was sent out on loan was to deal with I know it was kind of not from a challenge, the injury. It was kind of pressing someone in a really unfortunate, awkward way that the foot landed. But one of the reasons he was sent to Blackpool was for his body to adapt to the physicality of the senior game. So I think, that's something to bear in mind. And, this is kind of an experience that they wanted to see not wanted, but it's an experience, he has to go through. So as he adjusts to the game, physicality is a big part of it, and hopefully he can recover from it well.
Yeah, fingers crossed, because we don't want him injured and out for a long time. The fact that he did play on, hopefully, is a good sign. But the manager did say afterwards that it didn't look good. So if it didn't look good, why did he carry on playing? That would be my question. Take him off if there is indeed a problem. I can see there's a lot of questions, obviously, about potential signings. I think of what we've covered already, that there is unfortunately no real genuine update on anyone being close to a move or any new kind of areas. What we know and what we've said is that Arsenal are interested in making more signings. They're not closed to that. And I imagine that the stuff going on behind the scenes as the club work to continue to make things work as privately and behind the scenes as possible continues to be the case. But of course, if there is any changes, we will update you upon what that is, and you'll be able to find all of that over at football.london. Kaya, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, as always.
My pleasure. Yeah, thank you very much for having me on.
No problem. Tell people they can find you, what you're going to be up to.
Yeah, at Kaya Kaynak 97 on Twitter, Kaya Kaynak journalist on Facebook, and Kaya Kaynak on Instagram. Trying to do a bit more of that, so follow me there. And yeah, tonight we have coverage of the 21's game against Swansea in the Premier League Cup, where we're hoping that Emile Smith Rowe will be involved, potentially Fabio Vieira as well, but we'll wait and see on that one. And obviously another chance for Marquinhos to show what he can do. And before I mentioned all the exciting Arsenal youngsters. So plenty of them who are going to be out tonight, and fingers crossed they can get a victory and then go forward. It's building up to Bournemouth, which is obviously press conference and game coverage from the South Coast. So all that kind of stuff coming up over the rest of the week.
Marquinhos with 3 goals in his last 2 games, I think. Very impressive. 2 headers as well. You look at him and you go, tricky little Brazilian winger. But no, he's great in the air. He's the Peter Crouch of Brazil, I've heard people call it. So who knows what we can expect from him in the near future. I imagine the Europa League group stage and Carabao Cup games, we might see him in more senior football action. But for now, he's ripping it up with the under-21s. And as Kaya said, we'll bring you coverage of tonight's game against Swansea over on football.london. So make sure you stay tuned over there. Drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Other than that, it's been a pleasure to join you as always. And as always, keep following us down the Arsenal way.
49, undefeated, playing for the Arsenal way.